actually it's the lead play in our offense. We ask our YN or a tight end to open up somewhere between 6 feet and 9 feet to get an isolation with the linebacker. Tell the tackle to take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, to drive down on the first man to his inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here. Try to run this play in the alley.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. Text us 865-658-5824. Joined alongside Tim live in Green Bay. We got Jacob on the Wisconsin-Minnesota border. Here to talk a little Packers and more specifically NFL draft, as we are now officially less than 24 hours. What would be 23 hours and 56 minutes from now, round one will open up the NFL draft. I know I'm just absolutely fired up with it. Adjusted the board just a touch today. Had some info come through, which was really cool. Had a couple of guys jump up. They didn't leapfrog anyone, but the grades increased a little bit. But let's just go around the horn one time here. Jacob, man, how we feeling as we get ready here on the eve of the NFL draft?
I feel great. I officially finished my screening of draft day today. Started it last night, right before the pod went live. I did make a discovery. I forgot that I sent it to the group chat. We should have all known that Bo Callahan was suspect right away when we realized P. Diddy was his agent. I forgot about that.
Giggity.
So, anyways. Giggity. No giggity there.
Tim on top of his game tonight, man.
Yeah, now I'm excited, man. I got to work tomorrow, but I could not believe I was able to get off for each part of this draft. So it is going to be super, super fun. Looking forward to hanging out with you guys.
It's going to be a blast. Tim, what about you, man? How we feeling going into the draft here?
Man, feeling great. I watched draft day last night as well. It's definitely a good movie. I was pleasantly surprised, to say the least. My wife actually saw it before I did, so I'm kind of a little ashamed to admit that, but I was able to catch up on it, and yeah, man, that's Bo Callahan definitely was a bust. Kind of reminds me of someone else in this draft that's projected to go number one overall.
Shots fired.
But hey, I'm not saying names. Oh wait, I kind of just dry snitched, right? Yeah, Bo Callahan and Caleb Williams are I don't know, there's striking similarities.
I heard none of his tweets went with Caleb Williams to get his nails done. So,
oh no, we're already off the rails. There you go. Good gosh almighty, man. Well, that's a good transition. Let's do this real quick. Let's give a shout out to our good friends over at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access, Wisconsin-based since 1992, specializing in Packers tickets. They are Wisconsin's largest ticket source. Got offices next to Lambeau Field as well as in Milwaukee, making it as convenient as possible for everyone. You can click on the link in the video description that'll send you to theticketking.com, where you can register for free as a customer. Get yourself ready for that May schedule release, as we're going to have that coming down the pike as soon as the draft wraps up. We're going to be looking at a May schedule release. Then we're going to get into some more mini camp stuff. And before we know it, training camp will be here. Do not waste any time. Go get your tickets as soon as the schedule releases and go to theticketking.com, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access. We appreciate them sponsoring the show. So the big talk today, the McAfee show today, I don't know if you guys watched or listened to the McAfee show, but it was absolute gold today. It was just all draft talk. Pat just sharing. He and Bill Belichick went to dinner a couple nights ago, last week, whenever it was, and they're pretty much talking on a daily basis, getting prepped for the draft show, right, that they're going to be doing. And, it just looks like it's going to be absolutely awesome. And you could tell that Pat has already learned so much about the draft. He had a great conversation with Michael Lombardi on there today. But the big talking points that kind of, to me, has stood out over the last 24, 48 hours is it seems like the large majority of people who really keep up with the draft close and identifying the talent, qualifying the talent, all those things, there seems to be somewhere between 16 to 18 prospects with first round grades on them. Okay. So what that means, obviously, now there's going to be 32 guys taken in the first round, right? Regardless, but these teams are going to try to get up into the top 16, top 15, top 10 to grab one of these top end players, these first round talent players. And anyone outside of that's probably looking to trade back just a touch, right? Now, obviously, you got to stick and pick if you can't make the trade happen. But I thought that was kind of cool that we're starting to get a number identified. Somewhere right now, someone's saying, but Clayton, there's going to be busts. I get it. There's going to be late round gems. Absolutely. You take the information you've got, you do the best you can with it. And that's exactly how these scouts, how these organizations kind of qualify the talent. When I started looking at that, me personally, I think that our boy Cooper DeJean is probably on the outside of that. And I know people are going to hear that go, what are you talking about? I don't think he is one of those top 16 prospects. I really don't. I could be wrong. He may go in the top 7 or 8. Who knows? But the fact that Goody talked about him so much and kind of picked him up really makes you think like he would be a little more tight-lipped, I feel like, if that was a guy that was, hey, we might potentially trade up and try to nab him. And I say that because if he is in the top 16, it's going to take a trade up to get a player like that. The way my board falls and the way other boards fall that I've been looking at, I just kind of feel like it. I don't know, man. Cooper DeJean, I don't know if he's in that top 16. But when you think about a top 16, Tim, and first round talent, what do you think, man? Who is there anybody on the cusp that you go, hey, I think he may not be considered a top 16 talent, but would probably still be a first round talent that maybe these guys and gals might be missing on, or just anything that comes to mind when you talk about the top 16 here being first round grades?
Ennis Rakestraw Jr.
Didn't see that coming. I love it. I absolutely love it.
But it's funny because like you talk about Cooper DeJean, right? Or DeJean, whatever the technical correct pronunciation is. It's easy to get excited about a guy like this, right? Like,
right.
It's definitely easy to get excited about him, especially as Packer fans. However, I've always had a little bit of trepidation when it comes to Cooper DeJean because super freak athlete, all of these things, right? But at the end of the day, I'm already hearing people talk about put him in the slot, put him as a safety, and it's like I feel like this is just something we tend to do. I don't know if it's a Packer fan thing or if it's just a football fan thing, but we try to put square pegs into round holes a lot of times. And I'm not going to say it gets us in trouble, but it'd be nice to just get a guy that you like what you see on film and you want to play them on do that in the NFL. So that's the thing. A lot of people that have talked about Cooper DeJean coming to the Packers have talked about, changing where he's playing. And,
kind of weird, right?
Yeah, it's a little weird. But not unusual, strange, but not unusual. But yeah, Ennis Rakestraw is my dude. I mean, if we're going to take a corner in the first round, I hope it's my boy. But
Tim, Doug says you got to use a little bit more shallow vocabulary. We got Chicago people are going to be lost.
Trepidation. It sounds like a sketch bar on the South Side, doesn't it, right there?
Hey, can I ask y'all a question?
The Bears still suck.
They do, yeah.
That's a perfect segue.
What is their new stadium
proposal?
What is it now?
You didn't see it, Clayton? Oh my! Huh? They released a new, very elaborate proposal for what the new stadium in Chicago is going to be. I'll be honest. If it looks anywhere near what they have, it looks pretty cool. It's just the fact that they're putting it in Chicago, so nobody will be able to walk outside without a lot of stuff happening. By the way, they also are switching to a dome because they've thrown up the white flag that they can't play us outdoors anymore. So. Yeah, and there's also even like Big Cat from Barstool was like, "Yeah, it looks great. Where are we going to park?" Like, there's a lot of issues apparently already with the even proposal. So as always, the Bears still suck.
I hate dome football, man. I despise it, man. I really do. Yeah, so I don't know. I haven't seen anything on that. I'm kind of a fan a little bit different than most Packer fans. I know most Packer fans like to laugh at the division rivals and everything, but I'm like so keyed in on trying to understand what's going on with the Packers, that I really kind of tune that stuff out. But, like you said, that city, man, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I've got family that live just on the outskirts of Chicago, and they're like, it is pathetic what they've done to our city. And it's just, it's tough, man. It's tough. So, hey, again, all we wish is safety for every American, right? It's something, we joke about it and stuff, but at the same time, it's like, man, people wake up and take your freaking cities back, that type of thing. And I'll just leave it at that. But good for them getting a new stadium proposal. You're still going to suck, and I'm sure, listen, one thing we can say about Chicago Bear fans, they are loyal, man. They are a rabid, loyal fan base too. I mean, they're delusional. They're so loyal, right? Like they really are. So
they got a new stadium, but the owner stays the same. Just,
exactly. Old Miss
Jay Money still owns the Bears.
Yeah. So you mentioned Rakestraw, Tim. Ennis Rakestraw.
He always mentions Rakestraw.
He does. You're right. What I'm doing here, I've got the 33rd team horizontal board, right? And I'm kind of going through. And by the way, Mandy came through in the clutch. Got the horizontal board for us printed off. Look at that puppy right there. We're ready to roll. So I think we got 280 prospects, I think, on that board, something like that. But nonetheless, let me go ahead and share. I want to share the 33rd team. Well, let me share my board first here. I wanted to mention Rakestraw because the 33rd team, Tim, they have him in that top tier of corners. So they've got two corners with a 68 grade, and that's Kool-Aid McKinstry and Nate Wiggins. I agree with that, by the way. I feel like Quinyon Mitchell should be above them, but they've got Quinyon Mitchell and Ennis Rakestraw Jr. in the 67 range. So if you were to look at the 33rd team, I think Ennis Rakestraw is going to be on the outside of that top 16. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Actually, you're probably going to include the 67 grade as well. And according to the 33rd team, that would mean there are a few extra first-round talents than what everybody's saying with that 16 number. But if we pull up my board here and kind of look at the top 16, obviously you're going to -1 for the placeholder here at the top. But if we go down to number 17, right, that means it would cut off right here with Fashanu. So if you'll notice the grade here that I've got on them is a 14.3, and then we crack the 15, right? The lower number wins on my board. So essentially anyone who has a grade that's better than 15 flat falls in that top 16. I don't think that's a coincidence. So you got Joe Alt, tackle out of Notre Dame. You got Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver out of Ohio State. Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia. You got Talisi Fuaga, tackle out of Oregon State. You got Rome Odunze, wide receiver out of Washington. You got Caleb Williams, quarterback out of USC, first quarterback on the board for me. You got Latu, edge defender out of UCLA. You got Malik Neighbors, wide receiver out of LSU. Quarterback Drake May out of North Carolina. Cornerback Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo. So he is no longer my best defensive player. Latu actually leapfrogged him after updating the board. We got Jaden Daniels, quarterback from LSU. J.C. Latham, tackle from Alabama. You've got Jared Verse, edge defender from Florida State. We got Chop Robinson, edge defender from Penn State. We got Byron Murphy, defensive lineman from Texas. And then you got, like we said, Fashanu, tackle out of Penn State. That would be the top 16 on my board. They all have less than a 15 grade, meaning better than a 15 grade. I think that would be my top 16 as it sits right here. So, Tim, on my board, Ennis Rakestraw, as you guys know, he's a little bit lower. I've got him in the 28 spot, right? So I got him just on the outside, but the 33rd team, a little bit higher on him than I am, obviously, when we took this information down. At the time, they had him in the 17 spot, so they were real high on him. Daniel Jeremiah has him at 24, so a little
He's
closer.
at 21 on 33rd team right now.
Gotcha. So he actually
20
dropped.
on my board overall.
Right. Got it. All right.
Tim,
Cool.
do you know the answer to this question by chance? I know that you're kind of the 33rd team guy.
Yeah, I've been a bit of a 33rd team nerd lately. Thanks, courtesy of Mr. Clayton. They do update, but it's kind of touch and go. It seems like it's often enough, but not as quick as I've seen some of the other big boards updates. So
Yeah, and the way I've watched it pretty close, they have added to the board, and as they add to the board, obviously that's going to shuffle it around. But I don't think they've changed their grades at any point, and that's what I like about it. So it's going to shuffle by default because they're adding names to the board. So if they add someone and go, all right, no, we got a grade here on him, well, that's going to put him in the 68 tier, the 68 grade. Therefore, it's going to push someone else down. That's the reason it's shuffling. Now, something that Bucky Brooks and Daniel Jeremiah were talking about earlier today, he said, what you find in the war rooms, in the draft rooms this time of year is you find yourself, you had someone you were really big on, right? The more you've thought about it, you begin to change that grade. And then right before the draft, you find yourself coming back full circle. You're right back where you started, right? And that's exactly what I try to make my board to mimic. And I feel like the 33rd team does the same thing. They're not going to change the grade. They're not going to go in and just randomly change the grade because some bit of information came out, right? The grade's still there. I like that. I appreciate that. And again, I don't like the fact that the media can kind of skew things. And that's the reason, like you had asked me before, Jacob, the red on my board that you see here, that doesn't drop them down on my board. I'm keeping the grade the same. It's just an identifier that, hey, that person in the red, like with Tavondre Sweat, the DUI or the DWI, whatever it was, Latu, the neck injury, which, he basically went to UCLA, got cleared, and played the last 2 years of football after he had that neck fused. So it sounds like it's not an issue, but we've also heard Daniel Jeremiah say there's going to be 18 to 20 teams take him off their first-round board. So obviously it's an issue to some. I would imagine it's the people at the top of the round because they don't want to invest too much and then have a guy that, all of a sudden can't.
If I'm not mistaken, the guy actually had to medically retire from the program at one point. So I think that once you see that anywhere in his, his draft report or his scouting, you're like, oh, no, like you said, he's off my first round immediately.
And the reason being, too, they were talking about it earlier, he played for a different school. They wouldn't medically clear him. He goes to the UCLA doctors. He got his neck fused. The UCLA doctors cleared him, and he's been fine ever since. So it was one school that didn't medically clear him. Is that the way you took it, Emilio?
That's the way I took it. Let me ask you, if he was not a first round talent, if he wasn't this elite pass rusher, would he even be getting drafted? Was the kind of neck issue like that? If he was going to be a 4th round, 5th round talent, and
Great question.
Right. Are they going to pull the trigger on him, or that would be like would he drop to a UDFA and call it a day sort of thing? Yeah. So I think that if he has that kind of elite skill, someone is going to take a flyer on him. And if he plays for 10 years and tears us up, it's over. Right. But it's just a couple different ways to think about it.
Tim been waiting to do that the whole time we've been talking. Let's go to the 33rd team and see where they got Latu real quick. Right there off the top, bang, he's in the 11th spot. So that's kind of interesting. I've got him again. I got Latu in the 7th spot. Greg Cosell talked about him today, and this is what he said. He basically said he's hands down the best defender in the draft, right? He said the neck issue is the only red flag. Has crazy athleticism, bend, all those things. He's the total package. He said, and Greg Cosell doesn't like to comp players. He doesn't like to say this player, consider him this player, right? But he says, I just say the first thing that comes to mind for me. And he said, the player that comes to mind for me when I watch Latu play is TJ Watt. I went, woo, okay, you can't get better praise than that. Other than the neck injury, he just absolutely raved over Latu. So obviously he got the Greg Cosell bonus, which bumped him up on my board. I've been waiting for that to come through because I didn't have extra bonus or goose egg on him. Something else to keep in mind too, though, Caleb Williams, when he talked about Caleb Williams, pretty much the only thing he said on Caleb Williams was, when I talk to people I trust around the league, they absolutely love his arm talent. And he just changed the subject and moved on. I was just like, okay, he spent, multiple minutes talking about each prospect. With Caleb Williams, it's just people I trust say they like him. Okay, yeah, now let's talk about this player. And I'm going, I don't know, man.
Was it him that was saying that the Bears didn't like the Bears front office and stuff didn't take Caleb out to dinner? It was the actual players, like the leaders of the actual locker room and stuff took him out because he said that was where the hang up would be, character wise, that's going to be the Bears hang up.
Because you already had 2 Chicago Bears speak out on it this offseason. And I think it was Jalen Johnson who they just threw the bag to, right? They just gave him the bag. At cornerback, he said, literally when they were asked, they said, just don't bring that Hollywood stuff in here.
Right.
That's going, okay, they see it, right? They recognize it. And
how often have we had to go out, just players on players? I mean, I'm sure it happens, obviously, but, brought to the attention because, obviously the front office is for it, but are the players on the field for it?
Yeah. It's, again, he's got all the talent in the world.
Right.
And he may step in and be the best leader in the history of the NFL. The hang up I've got, this has nothing to do with the purse, the pink phone, and all that. Nothing to do with it. You guys can go back and watch the show from last year. I was saying this last year, going, there's something there that's like, I remember me and Jake Shavink talked about it. And what I said to Jake was, name the last NFL quarterback that acted like this, that painted FU the opponent on his nails, right? That just acted cocky and just arrogant and just kind of the attention. He wants the attention on himself.
Johnny Manziel.
Right. Bust. Right. And the other one was Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was the number 1 overall pick, if I remember correctly, right? What happened to Baker? He's been on 2 different teams now. Now, he just got a contract, but I don't think anybody would. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 2 teams shelled him. Now he's on his 3rd team, right? So I just, when you think of players like that, I don't see franchise quarterbacks that act like that. You just don't see it, right?
Let me ask you this. We all know the Bears are going to take a quarterback at 1. Do we think there's even a remote possibility that it's not Caleb Williams?
I think it's Caleb Williams. I would just
100%.
Okay. I really do. Now, there's nothing I would want more than the draft to get completely shaken up tomorrow. You know what I mean? And
they take Drake May or something.
Yeah, take Jaden Daniels or Drake May, right? Yeah. Jaden Daniels, I think, he's the real freaking deal.
Mm-hmm.
I do. Now, there's a little bit of a red flag there with him because I'm sure you guys heard about the Top Golf stuff, and they got all those players together, those prospects together. Did you hear about that, Jacob?
Yeah, it's actually funny. They've talked about it was a PFF podcast where they brought that up, where basically they get a lot of guys together. They want to see who is kind of the alpha in the room. They want to see if there's leadership skills there. I didn't hear specifically as how Jaden Daniels was characterized, so maybe you could bring me up to speed on that. But I know that they went through a list of all the top prospects over 10 years ago, and they got to the Aaron Rodgers draft, and it was funny. The guy's like, Aaron Rodgers, he was a nerd back in college. Nobody would want to hang out with him. Just laughed.
Yeah, so what they do is they try to put them in an uncomfortable situation and see how they interact with the other player. These are their competitors, right? They want to see 2 things. They want to see, 1, how do you carry yourself when you're in a group of your peers, and 2, who's competitive, who's kind of establishing themselves as that alpha. I heard, I think it was the PFT podcast was this is absolutely ridiculous. Nobody cares about the alpha and this. And I'm going, y'all have lost your damn minds. Y'all are so out of touch with this society we have that you think that someone who's going to lead a multi-billion-dollar corporation, that's essentially what they're doing. They're going to be the face of the franchise. It's not important that they don't command leadership. They don't command attention in the locker room. They don't command, hey, look, you're on my back. When we're down by 6 points and there's 43 seconds left in the 4th quarter and the freaking playoff burst on the line, you want that alpha killer freaking dog. But we live in such a society that's like, oh, that macho stuff, leave it at home. It's like, okay. Yeah. There are no atheists in foxholes. I'll just say that, right? Like
Amen.
when it's on the Emilio, you played college sports, right? You played college lacrosse. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
When you're
Ish. I missed an opportunity there.
when you're dog ass tired and you're in the last couple minutes of the game and you need that score, you want to look at the guy next to you and go, I'm glad that dude's on my freaking team.
Mm-hmm. That's when it counts, man. That's exactly when it counts. You can get on the bus, right? You can walk up, you can get dressed pregame, you can go through the, but playing the game, get into that, like you said, that final 5-10 minutes where it's crunch time and you got to show up. You got to be cool, calm, collected. You go to get a ground ball. You got to hold on to the football, anything like that. You can't make that little mistake. That's why you practice the whole week before that. That's why you hit the wall practice, everything to that nature. So it's crazy that it's, a problem, that he has to sort of follow up with. But he got the talent. I just hope that something squares away there. They can kind of get behind him.
The other thing they said on PFT too was Pro Football Talk there with Mike Florio and whoever that crony was. It was cringe the whole time. It was just like this guy you could just sense the self-image issues on this dude. Like he was so threatened by the fact that someone would think an alpha in your organization would be important. But nonetheless, just kind of talking about that whole process and everything with Jaden Daniels. Like for me, the problem with Jaden Daniels and the way he handled it, Jacob, what I was trying to get at just a second ago, is his agent came out and was outspoken about he didn't like the way they approached that. That throws a little bit of a red flag. If that's coming from Jaden, it could have just been his agent, but if that's coming from Jaden, that's him saying, I didn't like being put in that position. Well, you ain't going to like being put on the ground by freaking TJ Watt in the fourth quarter then, bub, if you can't handle going and playing a little top golf and hanging out with your competitors. It's just wild, man. Absolutely wild.
I mean, I know we've kind of joked about it, but it really is. That's the Bo Callahan effect right there. He does not have control of the locker room. He doesn't have the respect of his fellow teammates. Like Emilio said, when you're in the fourth quarter, again, draft day quote, when he talks about how on the last drive of the San Fran, when they're playing the Bengals in the Super Bowl, how Joe Montana took time when it was the last drive before the end of the game, and he looks up, everybody's nervous, they got to go like 90 yards, and he goes, hey, is that John Candy up there in the stands? Apparently that really did happen. And he's
it did.
And like that's a beautiful thing. He said that everybody looked around, they're like, this guy's crazy. He doesn't care at all. Like, he's so cool right now. And honestly,
cool.
That's a great tribute as to why like people I think are gravitating to Jordan Love, because he has that it factor that when your hair's on fire, when everybody else is freaking out, he just goes, I'm cool, man. I'm chill. Yeah. I'm ready. Like, that's a big deal. And I think that we've talked about so many things that catapult these guys up and down the draft boards, but we've all talked about like their measurables, their sprints, their 40 times, their intangibles as far as like what their physical capabilities are. But I really do think that we don't see, and you can't measure the mental capacity of it. And I think that that's a massive thing that maybe I think the mental and the how they get along with each other, I think that actually does dictate a lot where they fall on these people's boards, because that's why the interviews are there,
Yeah. And I want to specify too. I want to make sure I'm really, really clear. I'm not saying Jaden Daniels felt that way. That's just the vibe you got from his agent. And that's why Pat McAfee was like, I don't want to be hearing about people's agents the week of the draft, right, Tim? Because that's how people lose. That's how they lose draft stock, right? Like, the agent should be doing the dirty work behind the scenes for you, right? As A-Fan points out, Emilio wears a glove at Top Golf. So there you go. Emilio, hey, why do you get all the hate, Emilio?
I don't know.
I think they're jealous of your Milwaukee tool collections. What it is. But anyway, enough quarterback talk. I just wanted to kind of hit on that because it's going to shape the draft. It really is. Right now, you see the 33rd team, Caleb Williams. They got him as the second-ranked player, the top-ranked quarterback. They got Drake May as the 7th-ranked player, the 2nd-ranked quarterback, and Jaden Daniels as the 24th-ranked player, the 3rd-ranked quarterback. On my board, I've got Caleb Williams as the 6th-ranked player, but the first quarterback. Then I've got Drake May as the 9th-ranked player and the 2nd quarterback, and then Jaden Daniels in the 11th spot. I've got them much closer than obviously the 33rd team has. So just something to keep an eye on there. J.J. McCarthy's the big one. Michael Penix Jr. too, really. If you go by the grades that the 33rd team has here, that would suggest someone might be willing to climb up and get J.J. McCarthy. But if you went just off of the 33rd team board, it probably, again, you draft them one tier lower or one tier higher than they actually belong as a quarterback. So that would make them 65s. So when you look at the overall board, let's see where the 65s come into play. And that would kind of, to me, say what the 33rd team thinks about it. The 65s don't come in until the 43 mark, which would suggest they think that Michael Penix and Bo Nix are second-round quarterbacks, although there's many people that think it's a slam dunk. J.J. McCarthy is going to be in that first round. So,
what are your thoughts on Spencer Rattler?
Spencer Rattler, on the surface, I'm not a huge fan. But hearing people that I respect talk about him, got one of the best arms in this draft. Here's a guy that if he's sitting in the right spot, that might be the one the Packers pull the trigger on because he's got great arm talent. But what were you going to say, Jacob?
So I was going to get you guys it's a kind of a perfect segue here. Jay Cole made the comment a while ago. I started here. I want to read through just a few of them and get your guys' feedback. He goes, people are saying the Vikings are trading up for J.J. McCarthy. I'm not worried. Prince comes back and really relays some good info here. Vikings already traded their second, their sixth, plus their second in 2025 just to get to 23 and also got a seventh. He also follows that up with saying here that now if they indeed want to trade up to probably 3 or 4 where they need to go to get a Jaden Daniels or a JJ McCarthy, they'd have to trade 11, 23, and a 2025 first. If they want to do that, if they want to mess around, dude, go and spend all your draft capital. This guy at Fuquazi or whatever this, he's supposed to be some like draft wizard and like financial. Like I don't see it right now. So who knows? Maybe they're gonna sit with Darnold, but I don't know. I don't see it.
Yeah.
Wasn't Greg Cosell saying the price you pay doesn't matter, just depends on how desperate you are? Like throw the trade chart out the window, because at that point when the clock is on and everything like that, it doesn't matter. You'll do whatever you need to get that player on your team, even overpaying.
Yeah. I mean, it's what Ted Thompson did with Clay Matthews. Remember, they said, hey, I want to trade up and get him. And they said, well, it's going to take this, this, and this. And he said, I don't care. I want the player. Like when you're convicted in, hey, this is the guy, then you do what you got to do to make it happen. I'm not a big fan of it, but to sit here and pretend like it's not a real thing in the NFL draft, that's BS, man. If they think he is the franchise quarterback, they will pay a king's ransom to get him right, because it is the most important asset to your business there, no doubt. Michael Penix Jr., I think, is a very interesting one. I've got these guys much higher on my board than the 33rd team does. I'll tell you someone else who keeps popping up on my board when I think about the Packers potentially taking a quarterback later. We talked about Spencer Rattler. He's in the 109 spot on my vertical board. I hate to say it, but Joe Milton out of Tennessee, 127. He's right behind Spencer Rattler. So he meets all of the full athletic threshold for the Packers too. Emilio, you're right down there in the shadow of Neyland Stadium. Bro, he has all the physical tools in the world. He just can't ever put it together, can he, man?
I mean, he can throw the ball 90 yards, right? But I think even Greg said it, the processing speed, right? It's being able to see it, the intangibles, the instincts, the quick reaction, things like that. We're not running a fantasy league here. We need the dude to be able to throw the ball and not just, 1 point every 10 yards. So running it. So I'm not seeing it. I would throw him behind somebody to learn from.
Yeah.
He can block. He definitely cannot block, though.
Let's see what the 33rd team says about Spencer Rattler, since you asked about him there, Tim. I'm eager to see what the scouting report says on
He's
Spencer.
just a guy I could see going 1 through 5th rounds, like depending on how the draft shakes up, it's hard to really – I don't know. I've been struggling to put a really good grade on him personally.
Yeah, I'm going to double check the height here too, because it's showing he's only 6 foot. Yep. Of course, PFF has him at 6'1". PFF has everybody taller than they actually are, I think. But
Draft Buzz has him at 6 foot, 211.
Good deal. They said so. They got a 62 grade on limited starter or a multi-position backup. Obviously, that's just kind of a broad sweeping statement there for a 62 grade. It says Rattler's a talented quarterback that displays good arm strength and natural throw and motion, but must improve his decision making and poise at the position to develop into a strong or a starting caliber quarterback. His strengths are exciting arm talent, arm strength and velocity, natural quick release. Weakness is decision making, overconfidence in his arm, and poise in the pocket. So
everything is arm. He can throw arm.
Hand size too. Look at that hand size, 9 and 7/8.
Right. Right. So there's a lot of other attributes that go along with playing the quarterback position, and that's why it's like tough because looking at his film, like, yeah, man, he can hum that tater, as you guys would say down there in Tennessee. He can hum that tater, but there's more to playing quarterback than humming a tater, right? If you don't have your legs under you, or you're panicking in that pocket with an NFL rush coming at you, it's going to be an uphill battle. I don't care how well you can throw the football.
Yeah. Prince in the chat says Rams could let him sit and learn for 1 to 2 years. Good setup for him. That's probably the best type of situation there. When you look at it too, he's pretty accurate. 90% catchable percentage. On target percentage was 79%. So I think he ranked second in both of those categories. Total points rating, rushing too. I guess he rushed fairly effective there. So going to be interesting to see where he goes too. I didn't expect to get on here and talk quarterbacks the whole show, but
real quick, Coach had me laughing here. What is Joe Milton height and weight? Maybe our new tight end. The dude is 6'5".
Jeez.
He's 6'5", 235, ran a 4.78.
Oh boy.
There's a guy.
Here's Matt LaFleur's new offense with a trick play, motion to the tight end, pass. We're going to bring back the halfback pass. It's going to be wild.
No, he's like I said, a physical specimen, man.
Right.
6'5", 235 is what they've got him. They've got him at here on the 33rd team. Says with prototypical size, excellent arm strength, and good mobility, Milton has all of the traits needed to become a starter at the next level, but he will need to work on his footwork and learn to process quicker to be more than a quality backup early in his career. Got his strengths are arm strength, quick release, and size. His weakness is inconsistent touch, forced throws, and footwork. So that right there is just a project right there. But man, he's got all the physical ability.
If he sat for 3 years though, behind a good quarterback and with a good quarterback coach, an offensive coach sort of thing, I wouldn't be opposed to taking a shot. I feel like. Yeah,
I agree, man. So, that's kind of how the quarterbacks – and, again, we're talking quarterbacks, guys, because it's going to drive the draft. It's going to determine how the draft falls, right? How many quarterbacks are taken in the first round is going to be absolutely huge. The other thing, too, that they pointed out – and, Jacob, thank you for sharing this with me. They talked about this on the McAfee show as well. He actually – Pat pulled this image up, and I had forgotten all about it until Jacob reminded me and mentioned it earlier. Basically, they talked about the hit rate in the NFL. And this came from Hembo over at ESPN, but Adam Schefter tweeted it out. Said ESPN content producer at Paul Hembo calculated the percentage of first-round picks that, quote, hit or, quote, miss based upon whether that player signed a second contract with that team, with the team that drafted them. I think that's a really good indication too, Jacob. I'm sure you agree that that's a hit. Again, we talk about it all the time. You want to show me your priorities? Show me your checkbook and your calendar, and I'll show you what's most important in your life. Same thing with the teams. They give them a contract extension. That means that they really think that player is solid, right? They're gonna open up the checkbook for them. So, with that being said, this is the position hit rates, okay? And it says the data encompasses the 20 drafts spanning from 2000 to 2019. Here are the positional hit rates. The number one hit rate amongst all positions in football is the center position. There was 11 hits on the with 12 total, and a 92% hit rate for centers. Second would be offensive tackle, and it goes from 92% all the way down to 59%. And obviously with the 59%, 38 hits, 26 misses out of 64 total. With guards, it's a 50% hit rate. 14 hit, 14 missed, 28 total taken. Next is linebacker at 48%. Next is quarterback at 46%. These are first-round picks. Keep in mind, guys, first round specifically. Edge defender, 44%. Defensive tackle, 40%. Cornerback, 38%. Running back, 38%. Safety, 34%. Tight end, 33%. Wide receiver, 27% for wide receiver. Remind me again, fellas, why Brian Gutekunst doesn't draft receivers in the first round?
Just
Yeah.
So,
What I would say too is, remember when y'all made fun of me for trying to get JPJ and Zach Frazier in the first round? I'm just saying.
you can block.
I'm just saying, bro. 92%. I mean, basically, like if they project a center that good, he's going to be a starter, and he's going to be a multi-year starter. So, but you guys back off me.
So you're saying Jackson Powers Johnson, then, right, Jacob? Is that what you're saying?
If he's there, honestly, I'd love it. I would love that.
I would too, man. To be honest with you, they've got him obviously in the 28 spot. They be in the 33rd team. Jackson Powers Johnson on my vertical board is in the 20 spot, so I would be all about it. Fourth highest graded center in 2022, the top graded center in 2023. He was 48th on the consensus big board at the time. The 33rd team had him in the 26th spot when I originally took the data down, so he has just dropped a couple spots since then. And then Daniel Jeremiah had him in the 35 spot. Obviously scored a 9+ in RAS. He was also a Senior Bowl participant too, and we know the Packers love their Senior Bowl guys. So
Bo Lemmer and Cedric Von Prawn are my backup plans right there.
There you go.
I feel good about those two. I think we could roll the dice on either one of those, especially if we get value.
Yeah,
Skion 67 made a good point though too. He goes, centers are only drafted in the first round every other year, but still, I don't care. We've got enough draft. In my opinion, we have enough draft sample to see that, like, clearly, however they're projecting centers, they're just really good at it. So,
right. Yep. So yeah, center is interesting. I just want the best player available at the. They're going to be clustered up. There's no doubt about that. There's going to be a cluster of players when we pick. I want one in that current cluster of top talent at, ideally a position of need. But I think what you're probably going to see is you're going to see Goody go for a high athletic player that might be a little lower on the board. I kind of see it that way. I don't think he's going to go Edgerrin Cooper with that 25th pick. I hope he doesn't. But at the same time, the whole reason he took Quay Walker was because he had that high athletic score. If you guys remember, Quay Walker, I think he was on the consensus big board at the time, was in the 40s, I believe. So something similar there when you look at some of the boards. Like if we hop back over to, let's go to Will Backer real quick, because I think that's where Edgerrin Cooper is. See, they've got him in the 160 spot on the 33rd team. That is wild.
That is pretty wild.
So I know people gave me hell for having him so low on my board. I've got Edgerrin Cooper in the 70 spot on my vertical board. But the Packers did do a top 30 visit with him. They also met with him at the East-West Shrine Bowl. The thing that drags him down on my board big time is the 33rd team ranking. At the time, too, keep this in mind. At the time, the way the prospects have fell on the 33rd team board, he was 126th. And again, I keep those old numbers because I think the early numbers really matter. And then, of course, in 2022, he was the 383rd highest graded linebacker. So kind of cheap.
Do you think that we take Edgerrin because Quay is the dude at middle?
That's the thing, man. Like, I was going to show this to you guys too. Let me pull this up for you real quick because I've actually got – and listen, you got to take this with a grain of salt, but I think it is important to mention. This is the depth chart according to our lads. And, of course, Packers.com hasn't updated their depth chart yet. They do have people like Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith changed to defensive end now. But they've got it listed, Quay Walker as the will, they being our lads. And then they've got Isaiah McDuffie as the mock as it sits right now. So notice there's no Sam there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I still get so cracked up when people try to dunk on you. Well, what about Sam Becker? What about Sam Becker? I'm like, you guys think we're still in 1998, and it's wild to me. So
Hey, Clayton, where do you quick question, where do you have Tyron Hopper on your board?
Tyron Hopper is interesting because the Packers are all over him, right? Tyron Hopper on my board.
There's a guy.
Are you a fan of him, Tim? I know he's another Missouri guy, isn't he?
He's a Missouri guy, you know. He's been on my radar. There's, like I said, there's a handful of guys out of Missouri that I think are some ballers. And Hopper's another guy that it's been hard for me to really put a good grade on. I'm just trying to pick Clay's brain here.
Yeah.
Where do you have him as far as I think he's a Will. Is he a Will? Like, he's not a Mike. I think he's a Will.
I've got Tyron Hopper in the 237. And the reason being is PFF grade for 2022, he was the 93rd graded linebacker. Okay. In 2023, I've got him as the 724th graded linebacker. Look at Emilio drinking that White Lightning over there. My man.
Buddy, save some for the rest of us.
Been out there
Dude, I've been out in the sun for 10 hours. You're crazy.
Drink them if you got them. So, yeah, Tim, I've got him way down on my board because that PFF grade in 2023 was absolute cheeks. The 33rd team had him in the 188 spot at the time. Let's see where they've got him here. Yeah, here we go. They got him at 214 now, so I'm being really generous to him on my board.
I think I had a star by him because I think he's a high motor guy. Do you have anything on him with high motor?
Let's see.
Let's see what I know you're like me. We like the high motor guys.
Absolutely, man.
I'm pretty sure I had a high motor.
Yeah, there it is right there.
Okay.
Motor. Yeah, okay. His positive. Well, let's read the profile. It says, Hopper is an undersized coverage linebacker with the speed and athleticism to make plays all over the field, but will need to get bigger, stronger, and improve his FBI to be more than a depth level player and quality special teamer. His strengths are range, blitz timing and burst, motor. His weaknesses are play strength, instincts, and open field tackling. So, 6'2", got good height, a little bit light in the loafers there at 231 pounds. Arm length, too, is kind of a little bit of an issue there if you're going to be one of those players that's going to try to fight your way through blocks. Play speed is a plus. Like I said, zone coverage, range, blitzing ability, all that. Looks like his biggest weakness is block shed ability, according to the 33rd team. So there you go. What are you laughing about, Jacob? What's your problem over there?
Oh, nothing. FM's just laying into Emilio real nice.
Emilio is that bro that shows up to the gym and walks around with a milk jug of water. Emilio is that guy that shows up to a party and walks around with a milk jug. Is that right, Emilio?
Oh, boy.
That's all right. I got to stay hydrated. It's all right. Let them have it. I laid 8 courses of pavers today. I need to recoup and threw 8 yards of mulch. So,
Carly, what do you think about this mess and not before the draft?
I'm loving it. I'm not loving the fact that my headphones. So StreamYard's kicking me out, and every time I join back up, it disconnects my headphones. So I'm sorry that if I'm not coming through real clear, but I'm so excited for the draft. So excited to see where these guys go, but I'm also so excited for all the freaking speculation to just be down the toilet. Like, I'm ready for it to be freaking over, just done. My head is just like swirling all the names and the stats. And the more I've learned, like, it's like, when, I don't know, like maybe when you learn anything, like when you're just learning to drive a car, you're just focused on just staying in the lane, right? And then you kind of get better at it. And then all of a sudden you see all these things around you and you're like, crap, this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. What, like, now I have to worry about this turn and that turn and that. Like, I feel like that's where I'm at now with my football learning, where it's even harder to keep track of the draft last year because now I'm thinking of so many other things. And so I've enjoyed so much learning and so much thinking of everything you take into account when you have to go to a draft pick, and so much respect, man, for Goody and that chess game, like the multi-level chess game that he plays in the job that he does, and all the GMs, right? But it's just, I'm super excited. It's a lot of fun. I wish I could have spent more of the pre-draft week with you guys, but life has been crazy. But it's a blast. I'm really excited to see what happens tomorrow.
And speculation's almost over, right? 24 hours, and we're all wrong. 24 hours till we're all proven wrong. Speaking of speculation, remember this guy?
Rodgers, who the only only place he's going to take you to is the toilet bowl. And then you got Brett Favre, who will take you to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just saying, we're not going to talk about it.
No, okay. So I was reading. So Tim, I was reading, and all you guys, I was reading this book. So I was reading a book by Ron Wolf, but then I'm also reading this historical book that was published in 2019, and it's Ron Wolf and the Green Bay Packers, and they talk so much about Brett Favre. I was thinking of this when you were talking about Spencer Rattler, that his arm talent, like with Favre, obviously he had a lot of like the personality and stuff too, but all they were talking about was, man, this guy's arm talent, this guy's ability to just take the team on him and just make it happen with his arm and with some of the crazy stuff he did. And I was thinking about that, and also with Harlan, was that the guy's name, the head coach at that? No, Holmgren, Mike Holmgren at that time, right? Was the head coach. Yep. And how it took them reading this book with some quotes from Holmgren. It was like the 4th year before they really actually felt like they got in a groove where they were just speaking the same language and they were like getting like he had progressed. And yep. I feel like our game now does a disservice to the players, because how, what team will give a guy that long to really work with them until he's, really picking stuff up and playing the plays as they're called. And I don't know. It was just, you have to really believe in somebody and have some patience. And I'm so glad the Green Bay Packers are what they are and operate how they operate. And it makes me really excited for the future.
It's true, because Brett, 4 years, that sounds about right. Brett figured out what a nickel defense was around year 4, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's accurate. And you're definitely right. Mike Holmgren had a lot of things. And one of them was definitely patience when it came to Brett Favre, for sure.
No more rocket balls, please. All
right, so I've got to show this. I know you guys can see the screen. It's going to be a little bit smaller here on the screen because I don't think I can zoom all the way in. But I actually tweeted this out earlier about Brett Favre. Check it out.
Atlanta has selected Brett Favre, quarterback, Southern Mississippi.
Brett Favre, humming the tater.
So Atlanta.
Where do you see these guys? Look at Chris Berman.
Selecting Brett Favre from Southern Mississippi.
Why do you see Chris Morton?
As we had suggested, that they gambled. They said maybe we can get him in the second round, and that's exactly what they did. A 4-year starter at Southern Miss. The Jets are up next. They could pick Browning Nagel, quarterback Louisville. We'll wait and see.
And prior to that, we had back-to-back quarterback selections, which we expected. Brett Favre goes from being a Golden Eagle at Southern Mississippi to a Falcon with Atlanta, and then the Jets with the next selection took Browning Nagel. And Chris, I think Brett Favre was very happy to be in the South with the Falcons, but the Jets
Rest in peace,
really
Chris
had their eye on him.
Brett Favre almost went northeast. The New York Jets were on the phone with the New York Giants, desperately trying to trade up into the Giants spot to get Brett Favre. I'm sure they're happy with Nagel. In fact, I like Nagel a lot. But the Jets really wanted to move up and take Brett Favre, knowing the Falcons were going to take him in that spot.
But Nagel really did improve toward the latter part of the week.
Hey, Nagel had Howard Schnellenberger for a coach. That's going to help him in the NFL.
And that offensive pro set. All right, let's go back to Chris and company. The other Chris Berman.
Let's go quarterback, shall we? Okay. The Falcons and the Jets back-to-back doing quarterbacks.
See that grin like a possum.
4-year starter for the Golden
And Jerry
Eagles.
Glanville's going,
A man that had an off-season car accident. They figured he wouldn't even come back till halfway through the season. He was there second game of the season. If that doesn't show you a little bit about heart, what does?
Well, if that doesn't tell you enough, consider the fact he had 30 inches of his small intestines removed in like August, but only missed 1 football game. The kid's a tough guy. There's absolutely no question about it. Got nice feet, loads the ball really quick, and by that I mean once he makes a decision.
Look at that grin. Tell me he don't look like he stole tomatoes out of somebody's garden.
But let it go. He lets it go without
this
hesitation. I like the way this kid throws the football.
Hey, Tim, can you hit me one of those giggities real quick?
I was going to say, dude, that dude's got way worse. That guy, do not trust hide your kids, hide your wife.
And hide your husband. Giggity. One more, Tim. One more for me.
Giggity. A guy that throws the ball very, very well. Browning Nagel from Louisville. If you watch him in this game, the Fiesta Bowl against Alabama, you know he can.
This is the gun in the bunch. I mean, this kid here has got an absolute rocket for an arm. This is one of the strongest arms I've seen come
this
out
guy
of college football.
Let's back it up here.
Carly's right, though. I mean, in today's game, the rocket arm is not what it used to be. It's not going to carry you as a quarterback like it did, 10, 20 years ago.
So I tweeted this out along with it. 19 seconds left in the game. He came in, obviously, for Don Mikowski. This is the game-winning throw right here against the Bengals.
Here's Favre. Favre goes straight back in the pocket. Now he pumps it. Now he's going to the end zone. There's a man. He's wide open. Touchdown. And it's caught by the wide open. And it is Kittlick Taylor. And the Packers have tied the game. 13 seconds to go.
Two men back there. Nobody covered him. Let him all by himself. I can't believe it, Jim. A great pass by Favre.
Kittlick Taylor.
Kittlick Taylor.
Who
the hell
my
is
goodness.
Kittlick Taylor?
Kittlick Taylor was all wide open. And the fifth-year player from Washington State. And now the extra point with 13 seconds.
Good old Mike Holmgren. Gosh, look at him. If that isn't exciting, I'll tell you.
They didn't know who Kittlick Taylor was, and they couldn't say Brett Favre.
These fans are going crazy. I mean, this thing is supposed to be over with, and the Packers are in position to win this ballgame.
He's like, man,
He's hanging. That's a hangover right there. Look at Brett.
That Schaefer light last night, boys. Good God.
Timeout, Cincinnati.
What he's thinking right there is he's got a hold. He's got a hold for the extra point. People don't know this.
Oh, that's right.
He actually takes his hands off the ball too because he didn't want to get kicked. The game-winning point, the extra point was Chris Jackie taking the game-winning extra point, and Brett Favre lets go of the ball because he didn't want to get his hand kicked.
Sidelines.
You thank God never farted?
What was the distance, Jim? Favre to Taylor. Kittlick Taylor.
Break it down right here. Look, they're playing a little cover 2 zone. We're just gonna hit that. Let's bust a bunker right there. Right. You got to have an arm to throw to make that.
I was just gonna say, Clay, is that when we the literal first game that he's ever been in? He's supposed to have that safety help. The safety doesn't think he can fit that ball in there. That's the first time we saw that. Hey, Brett Favre is like Randy Johnson. He's just slanging that thing.
Absolutely, man.
I mean,
look at that recoil too.
Yeah.
Look, we got to take it back. Look. They don't. This isn't how they teach you mechanically. Watch this. No. Look.
Everything into that.
Oh man.
Just hum that tater. Shot that field. Look at my man.
Look, and the trademark helmets off celebration.
Somebody
can't do that anymore.
Smelly with them.
Yeah, right.
I was hoping we could kind of see. I know they've got a better angle of it on other videos. Probably won't be able to see it, but look at him holding right there. So he just let go of the ball, and he said it stuck in the mud, thank God. But he didn't want Chris Jackie to kick his hand. Let's see if we can catch it here. Nah, they moved. Look.
Don't they teach him? Don't they teach him to do that? Don't they teach them how to hold it without getting kicked?
Yeah, well, one hand out of the way. You got to have at least one finger on the ball.
Yeah, Brett was like, "I'm not getting my hand kicked." With the game,
man, that's who I grew up watching, man.
Look, helmet back off. Oh man, I love it. Now this right here is the highlight. This is the true highlight right here. Look at that draft day picture when he got the call. There's so much.
He borrowed them shorts from Jacob.
Oh my God.
Look at the shorts.
Notice the
Jacob, you got a pair of jorts like that, don't you?
I legitimately have. I love jorts. I will. Most summers you'll see me with the stupid shirts I wear. Speaking of, you guys don't even know. I'm rocking Tupac today. Tupac LaFleur. Just saying. It's jorts.
Notice the pump shotgun hanging on the wall back here too. I love it. Just absolutely love it.
That is awesome. I never noticed that.
Yeah, no, it's redneck USA down there too. That was fun. Didn't plan that. That wasn't in the show notes, but I'm glad we did it. We'll walk down memory lane. So you all should dress like that tomorrow. I dress like that every day, Ben. What are you talking about?
I like that. I bet those are Wrangler jorts.
Yeah.
Jorts. All right, we're at the 59-minute mark. This was fun, man. We put a lot of work into this draft process this year, man. And it's cool just to take an evening and be like, all right, everything's done. Board's created. Everybody got our marching orders for the draft show tomorrow. Got news. It sounds like I'm about 95% sure Ryan Schlip will be joining us for the draft party tomorrow with the Pat Gaddy himself. So that's going to be an absolute blast. May have a few other people hop in. Like I said, got a connection within Lambeau Field. We'll see if they're able to break away, but they're going to be kind of doing media coverage the whole time too as picks come in and things like that. But hopefully we'll have a special guest or two from Lambeau Field. I'm hoping that can happen. But again, don't want them to feel pressure if they're watching right now. If you can break away for a quick 5-minute phone call, 2-minute phone call, whatever you can afford, that's cool. If not, no big deal. So it's going to be awesome. Donald Krieger, give us predictions. I don't do predictions good. You guys want to go around the horn and try to predict who the Packers are going to take tomorrow?
I'm not going to, so quit asking.
There's Tim, Dan.
I have a question that I want the chat to predict.
All right.
So this isn't really about the Packers, so maybe it's kind of cheating, but I'm real curious. With the Jets trading Zach Wilson, do you think it is more likely that they draft a QB as a backup to learn under him, seeing how well it worked for Green Bay, or you think they're going to go like O-line or something like that?
They won't do that. They know.
I don't think anybody wants anybody learning under Zach Wilson, but sitting for a year and learning from Sean Payton, yeah, right?
No, learning under
New York.
Rodgers.
Talking who? New York?
Talking New York, having somebody sit under Rodgers. I don't think they're going to do that. They're not going to. Rodgers will be in a jungle doing ayahuasca in 2 seconds.
So you're talking in the first round, Carly? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I mean in the first round. Yep, QB in the first round versus like.
Man, I'll tell you what.
That they actually need.
That would be full circle right there, would it not, Tim? The thing that pissed Rodgers off, the one out of Green Bay eventually. What if they drafted a first-round quarterback? I don't think it's going to happen, but if the board falls just right, if Drake May goes on this free fall, which we know isn't going to happen, and the Jets get within striking range,
That's smart. There you go, Jay. I know, right? They're too busy keeping Rodgers happy.
Very good point.
They probably should get an O-lineman, though.
David Bakhtiari signing coming soon.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, that might happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. They've got a lot of names in here that really grab my attention. Like I could see Brian Thomas going to the Jets. I could also see like J.C. Latham's got mentioned. I know people were saying offensive line. Brock Bowers is another one. You put Brock Bowers in there with Aaron Rodgers. Whew, boy,
yeah, but he never has integrated rookie receivers that great. Like he's been pretty hard on them. So do you really think he's going to change his stripes for just that?
I disagree with that. I feel like that's a big false narrative. And I know I'm in the minority with that. What I would argue is who's the best tight end that Aaron Rodgers had in Green Bay?
Finley.
No idea.
Yeah, Jermichael Finley.
Now, what would you consider Finley? He never made a Pro Bowl, right? He was never considered a top 5 tight end. Brock Bowers, they're saying, is one of the best tight ends to come out in several years past the draft. Like if he was able to come out last year, if he had came out in the draft last year, he would have been the top graded tight end last year, is what I've heard. So you're probably going to you see what Sam Laporta did. If he lives up to the hype, he being Brock Bowers, you're going to talk about even more production than Sam Laporta. I just don't think Rodgers never really had that. Jermichael Finley was a pain in the rear end. That wasn't just Rodgers saying that. That was the coaches. That was the front office. That everyone who knew Jermichael Finley, he was kind of one of those me guys, right? And again, I wouldn't have considered him a top 5 tight end. I was as excited about him as anyone. You guys remember he used to say Yodo? It was the year of the takeover. Yodo, that was his big motto or whatever. When he was scored, he'd do the Yodo. I was all about it. I was like, yeah. About 3 years into the program, I'm going, this dude ain't done nothing special. All he does is run his mouth and do the fin thing. Remember the fin thing? That's what I remember him for. So I don't mean to dog on him. I'm just saying I never really looked at him like.
How about this? Yeah. That was always surprising to me. Jared Cook came in as a free agent, played amazing, gave us some of the best memories that we could remember, and then we just were like, all right, bye, Jared. See you later.
And that pissed Rodgers off too. If you guys remember, that was one of those guys he wanted back. It's wild to look back on everything, man.
It is.
Yeah, look at Donald. Donald said, "Yeah, I forgot about Yoda." I was all about it, man. I was like, "Yeah, year of the takeover. Finley's going off at the end of the year." I was like, "Well, that sucked."
Richard Rodgers for number 3.
Ooh, that's
the Miracle in Motown catch alone seals it for Richie.
You're talking about a guy with a catch radius and great hands, but just Emilio, he never really lived up to the high. What's crazy too, if I remember correctly, Richard Rodgers' dad was in on the band play in college. Yes. Was it Cal? Yeah. Colin, who was the other team? Cal and who? Stanford? Is that right? Stanford Cal game. What's up, Chris?
Good, y'all. How's it going?
Doing good, man.
What's up?
in here getting ready for the draft, man. You know, so.
Sweet. Yeah, that's
He's
great.
promised me he's going to watch the kids so I can join tomorrow and actually enjoy the draft this year.
Chris, blink twice if you need help.
Yeah. Help me. He said, help me. Good stuff, man. It's good to see you, buddy.
Good. It's good. She just doesn't know that on Saturday I'm going fishing. I'm taking the boat out. So.
There you go.
Yeah.
The trade-off. There it is. That's me. See, I do a lot of honey-do lists leading up to the draft. That way the weekend I'm like, I try to build up as much credit as I possibly can. And I'm like, do not talk to me for 3 straight days. I won't be up here. So yeah. Amelia is going to show up and I'm going to have a black eye. That's what's going to happen if she's watching the so.
Emilio, how are you gonna sleep up there without your race car bed?
I don't know. I could maybe bring like the polish or something. I could buff up something at Clayton's and
bring it on the trailer, buddy.
What would you do if you showed up and I did have a race car bed up there? Wouldn't that be awesome?
I'd have
those things cost,
right?
Anyway.
Clayton's got that Amazon Prime, man. 2-day delivery, man.
Yes. Mandy's already ordered an inflatable race car to go around the bed and we'll be good to go.
Oh man.
I love it. Well, this has been fun. Let's wrap this thing up. Tim, Jacob, you guys got anything else before we get off here, man?
I will go out on a limb since Tim doesn't want to, and I'll say that I think we're going to take either Kool-Aid or Graham Barton. Those are my predictions, or we're going to trade back.
You want me to go out on a limb?
Yes. And it's Rick Scott Jr.
No, that's not a limb. I've been saying that forever. No, the last part of what you just said, Goody trades the pick.
Okay.
That's as close as you'll give or get me to give a prediction. Goody trades 25, either up or down. I don't know yet.
Yeah. Again, if I'm going to make a prediction, I'm going to give you multiple choices. Like I'm not going to just go this one player. Like Nate Wiggins and Kool-Aid McKinstry are kind of at the top of the list for me. A great fit. A couple of them. Amarius Mims for the high athletic profile, obviously. Graham Barton meets all the physical criteria as far as the thresholds go. That's one. But Tyler Guyton, man. Tyler Guyton's a guy that he may reach on, and he fits, again, full athletic threshold amongst offensive linemen for the Packers. He was a top 30 visit. He was a Senior Bowl participant. He checks all the boxes as a Packer guy. I just wouldn't like the pick. I would get on board, obviously, because Goody knows what the heck he's doing. But that's one that really kind of stands out to me there at the top. So, again, those three. Dominic Pooney's another one. I've actually got him graded slightly higher than Tyler Guyton, but, again, he doesn't meet quite the criteria that Tyler Guyton does. But, Emilio, you got a guess, man? Other than DTD, it ain't DTD, so don't even start that. All right.
Yeah, no, I'd probably say Nate Wiggins for going corner or something like that. The freaky speed athlete and
tall too.
Yeah, tall, lengthy, and I still think that he's got his eyes on JC or a trade or Barton. But again, who knows? We have no idea. Thank God it's only 20 hours away, right? It's closing in quick.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, you're gonna blink your eye. It's going to be Sunday, and we're going to go, dang, it's over.
Yeah.
It's going to go that fast.
It's going to go.
And we get to do chalk talks.
Yeah.
But you guys, everybody remember that this could go a little longer for Clayton, because if we somehow do end up picking a quarterback in the first round, homie getting a neck tat.
Wow. Right? I'll bring the equipment. No, I'm kidding.
I told Mandy earlier, I said, they trade up for a quarterback in the first round. She went, I'm pulling the wife card. That's what she said. Don't even pretend like this is an option, is what she said.
No, I bought you cheese curds, Mandy. Don't do that to me.
I love it. All right, let's get out of here, Chris. Good luck with the tripping with the fishing trip there. We're going to go ahead and speak it into existence. We're going to make that happen. So enjoy your time fishing there.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's get out of here. We'll see you guys and gals tomorrow night. We're going to go live at 6:30 Central, 30 minutes before the draft kicks off. Again, should have a packed house. There's going to be a lot of people in here. We're going to try to stay on topic and keep a lot of stuff on screen for you guys to keep up with the draft tracker, show the grades, all that stuff. It's going to be about the draft first and foremost, but there's going to be a lot of laps too. So, like I said, thanks for everyone hanging out. What's this? Go to Africa for the tat? What are we talking about here? What is even going on?
Why did we pick that one to put up?
I put it up. It was a clay.
Unbelievable. All right, we're out. Appreciate everybody.
Those of you listening on the pod.
Yes. Don't forget about the draft party tomorrow. Also, make sure if you want to enter yourself into the contest to win the autographed Paul Hornung jersey, make sure you're a Patreon member by tomorrow. Actually, get it in by midnight tonight. The cutoff is midnight tonight. That way we can get the pinky wheel up and create it and all that good stuff and get that drawing taking place. So excited about that. In round 2, I think Jacob might have a piece of memorabilia. I'll talk with him offline. We may do that for round 2 or 3. And we've also got some other cool stuff coming down the pike as far as giveaways, things like that. So, again, make sure you guys get yourself set up. Patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access, right? And you can find that link in the description of the video here as well. So we'll see y'all tonight. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go, Pack, go.
The power sweep. Actually, it's the lead play in our offense. We ask our YN or a tight end to open up somewhere between 6 feet and 9 feet. Get an isolation with the linebacker. Tell the tackle to take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, to drive down on the first man to his inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here. And try to run this play in the alley.